Social Security says service has never been faster, but 5 million Americans still get checks below the poverty line, and some wait nearly 11 months just for a disability hearing. 10 members of Congress asked the commissioner who this system is really working for.
Well, thank you again, Mr. Chairman. Let me start by saying, do you believe that billionaires should pay their fair share of Social Security?
I believe whatever the law is should be upheld.
Pardon, the what?
Whatever the law is should be upheld.
So if you're Elon Musk and don't pay anything into Social Security, that's okay with you?
I'm not the dictator.
So here we are before the committee, and you're telling us how more efficient you are. So you're more efficient. How are the 5 million Americans, fellow Americans, most of them women, who are getting below poverty level checks from Social Security, are they able to starve more efficiently? Is that the goal here? That they're able to, that we're able to send them their below poverty level check more efficiently? I guess so. So that's a great thing. We should all be doing cartwheels and celebrating. How about the 40% of the people who this is the only benefit that they have? So the only benefit that they have in retirement, you're saying to them, look what we've done for you. We're getting you that check more efficiently. Isn't that wonderful? Sounds to me more like when you look at everything that's being done and nothing that's being done on behalf of the people that Social Security was meant to serve, and props up our whole system of free enterprise and capitalism. We're saying, don't worry, we're getting it to you more efficiently. How about we get them something they can live on and sustain themselves on? This is what this committee should be doing. And I would expect from our agencies, and I know everything's Joe Biden's fault, et cetera, but I have to say this. Was Joe Biden wrong to say that we should lift the cap on people making over $400,000? Was that wrong, Mr. Secretary?
Is that a question?
Yes, it is a question.
I would say that the fact of the matter is Congress, and that would be led by yourself as a ranking member here, has a responsibility to decide what they want to work on. The commissioner's job.
That's not what the question was. The question was,
I'm answering the reality.
You're answering the way you want to answer it. I asked the question, do you think we should lift the cap on people making over $400,000? Raise your hand in the audience if you're making over $400,000. Raise your hand on the dais if you're making over $400,000. And yet, nobody here in this room is making over $400,000, and yet people are, and yet that Joe Biden, boy, that guy, what an awful thing to say that those people, as difficult as this may be, that they're going to have to pay what all of you pay for Social Security. Wow, what an incredible burden he's just placed on people, that Joe Biden, that guy who wanted to see people pay their fair share into the most significant insurance program the nation has ever had, so people can live out their lives in dignity instead of living in poverty more efficiently. This hearing should be about focusing on what we need to do for the American people. Everyone on this dais knows that it's been over 55 years since we've enhanced Social Security across the board. And who's going to benefit from that? Where do the people in your district spend the money they receive from Social Security? On average, over $280 million in every congressional district. And Wouldn't it be something if that were increased? That would actually allow not only them to live in dignity, but how about helping out every single local business in all of your districts who that money will go directly back to by way of purchasing groceries, pharmaceuticals, paying their rent, their mortgage, putting gas in their car. And instead, we're sitting watching, and everybody on this dais knows, and I'll keep on saying it, this is about the privatization of Social Security. It's not about helping these people out.
Thank you, Chairman Estes, and to the ranking member. Commissioner, last year you came before the committee and committed to ensuring that Social Security field offices would be better staffed, more efficient, and better equipped to serve the public. Today, Nevada families are experiencing something that's very different. In Las Vegas, disability hearing wait times average nearly 11 months, among the longest in the nation. My office continues to hear from seniors, people with disabilities, and working families who cannot get answers and cannot access benefits that they deserve. Last year, you promised improvements. Today, Las Vegas disability applicants are waiting nearly 11 months. Do you believe that that's acceptable? Yes or no?
Well, what I know is that, as an example, your field office wait times are down 60%, right? And that's a 34-minute decrease from 24. I'm not looking at your disability numbers, and I'll come back to you on them. But if you look at our total disability numbers,
So I'm asking specifically about Las Vegas.
I'll compare them with you, because I didn't hear you talking about the field offices.
I did. That's
You-
where I
you
started.
talked about- you
11
started-
months.
You started, did you understand
I
that?
just asked if
did you
11
un-
months was acceptable
Did you
or not. Yes
understand-
or no? Is it
did you-
acceptable?
Did you understand?
people should wait 11
Did you
months.
understand?
Commissioner, reclaiming my time.
Did you understand?
I'm going to, rather than us going back and forth, let me share a message from one of my constituents that told me and my staff that they have been calling and visiting the local office for months, and nobody can tell them anything. My case has sat unresolved for 7 months. I have no food, I can't pay my rent, and I'm facing eviction. Commissioner, that is not a statistic, that is a Nevadan. So will you designate a senior SSA point person to work directly with me in my office on unresolved constituent cases like this one, yes or no?
I'll give my head of disability to come see you in your office.
Thank you.
I right now
Thank you.
show that you have
Thank you.
seven
Thank you,
pending.
Commissioner.
No, you don't want to
Commissioner-
really deal with the numbers.
Commissioner, this week, Speaker Johnson said on a local radio program, Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid need to be, quote, adjusted and fixed. Americans who rely on Social Security deserve a clear answer. Have you been involved in any discussions about reducing Social Security benefits, raising the retirement age, or restricting eligibility for benefits? Yes or no?
No.
That is important for me to know on the record. Now, I would like the Speaker and my colleagues on the other side of the aisle to tell us what they mean by adjusted and fixed when it comes to Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. Let me turn to the issue around the average SSDI beneficiary receives about $19,000 a year. The average retired worker receives about $25,000 a year. Should Americans who paid into Social Security their entire working lives have to wait 11 months for a disability hearing? Yes or no?
Disability hearing time is at an all-time low.
Should they have to
All-time
wait
low. It's at an all-time low. How long you been standing up there, sitting there? How many years? How many years you been here?
So is it acceptable, sir?
Well, it's the best performance you've ever had, so you should think about that.
Well, it's not good enough for the people who paid into a system
somehow you allowed
and
it
deserve.
before to be worse.
I haven't allowed anything. Commissioner, can you guarantee that no Nevadan Social Security number earnings record, or medical information was shared with an unauthorized third party, yes or no?
Yes.
And you will state that for the record, that none of their personal information has been shared with the third party, unauthorized third party.
I just said it.
All right. It is important because Americans trust Social Security Administration with their most sensitive personal information. And my constituents are not asking for excuses, they're asking for service. They earned these benefits and they deserve timely access to them. And I'll work with you, thank you for your commitment today, along with my office, to resolve these cases and reduce these unacceptable delays. Whether it's 11 months, 6 months, or 1 month, they deserve their benefits. With that, I yield back.
Expired. Now recognize Mr. Byer from Virginia for 5 minutes for questioning.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, thank you, and Mr. Ranking Member. Commissioner Bisignano, thank you for coming back again. I had a chance to recently visit my Social Security office for a morning. I was impressed, great people. They love their work, they love helping people. The one uncomfortable part is that they all felt overwhelmed, that to catch up on the paperwork after meeting with customers all day, it often work into the evenings or have to come in on Saturdays. It was 1 month for an appointment, and if you did the walk-ins, which they were still taking, it was basically you waited all day. And I know I go back a year, it was 120-minute wait time. So I appreciate that you identified addressing phone wait times was an important priority. But previously, when employees were temporarily assigned to phones or in emergency situations, they apparently received months of training and they shadowed a full-time phone operator. Now it's reported that they're getting 3 hours of training before being placed on phones basically the same day, and that they're sometimes given bizarre and dangerous instructions. Let me quote from Government Executive, which is not a left-wing newspaper. The Social Security Administration has instructed employees newly assigned to answering phones to tell callers expressing suicidal thoughts that suicide is only one option. Can you take responsibility for the poor training for newly assigned employees, and why not just get new trained staff rather than move the existing staff over temporarily? The notion that the demand for the phone call stuff, even with the move to online, is not going away.
Yeah, I think that let's make sure we got our facts right. I always like that. In 2024, in your district, the wait time in field offices was 77.8 minutes. The number produced before I was here, it wasn't my number. But we use the same exact methodology that we use there. Today, the wait time in your field offices are 18.6 minutes. That's 60 minutes less.
Mr. Commissioner, I appreciate that, and I'm not questioning those. My ask was, what about the training for the temporary
Congressman, right? This is a holistic thing we do, serving Americans, right? Whether they call on the phone, whether they walk in the field office, whether they go on the web.
What do you think about one of your members, your phone callers telling people with active suicide thoughts that it's just an option? That's hardly best practices.
I think we amended that message. And by the way, we got that from an authority and we went back to the authority, right? If you want to make that what this hearing is about, that's kind of fine. We could talk about that one line. We can also talk about the fact that your wait time's gone down 76%. We can also talk about the fact that field office visits are down 3%.
I just wanted you to say that you were actually addressing the issue.
We addressed it 4 months ago when it occurred.
Okay, good. Let me also move on to one of the most frequent complaints I have right now is that it's impossible to get any help from GSA for either the Login Gov or the ID Me. And I think it's a fine thing to move everything to SSA, but right now, my constituents are stuck dealing with these access issues on their own. And it often takes them, once again, a month to get the appointment to come and to get them summoned so that they can go online, so they can do the modernization. So are there any plans to improve logins for my SSA
I'd say it's
from GSA and
it's a top
ID?
priority. It's a top priority. A top priority.
Thank you. One last question. Mr. Smucker and I championed a bill that would redefine the claiming age categories. The simple terminology change, minimum benefit age, early eligibility age. I'm sure you know about it. Do you anticipate these terminology changes over time will make the backlogs reduce? Will it be helpful for you if we pass this?
I've never actually thought that they would change backlogs, but I'm supportive of what you want to do, and I don't think those are the key. If that's your key driver to that, it's probably not the answer. We got to reduce backlogs, always. That's all we ever do, is reduce backlogs. And to the point where they're no longer backlogs, they're inventory.
Okay. Well, we very much appreciate reducing backlogs. And before I yield, I'd like to submit the government executive article for the record.
Without objection, so ordered.
Thank you. I yield back.
Thank you, Chairman. Commissioner, thank you and welcome back to the Ways and Means Committee. I know you have multiple hats in serving the American people, and we say thank you. Appreciate the work that you're doing in Social Security Administration. You could be doing a lot of things, and you've chosen to serve the people who are reliant on Social Security and the people of this country. So just want to say thank you. You don't hear that a lot, especially when you come before Congress. They like to criticize you and tell you how X, Y, and Z is not perfect and why you haven't fixed whatever. But as I was sitting here listening to some of that, Commissioner, I'm reminded I've been here 12 years on this committee. 12 years. But that's a very short time compared to a lot of people that have been here 30 and 40 years. And the last time Social Security was changed with benefits was 1983. But boy, we hear a lot of people up here talk about changing those benefits. But you're right, it's done by the legislative body, not by you. And so Congress needs to get their act together to address Social Security and the insolvency that's coming, instead of poking blame at other people whenever it is our duty and our responsibility. And so there's only been a couple changes to Social Security in the last 40 years. One of them was under my chairmanship with WEP GPO just in 2025. But we've seen nothing in years past. And so I hope, Commissioner, our colleagues will come together, both Republican and Democrat, to do it for those people who rely on Social Security. My mother, do it for people like my mother, that's all she has. That is all she lives on. And that's difficult for her to do. But there's a lot of people like that, and that's why we have to come together. I have a few questions, Commissioner. As someone who represents a number of rural communities and many families that rely on Social Security in order to retire with dignity and security, I appreciate how important it is that people maintain reliable access to Social Security services, whether it is in contact with your agency by way of phone, online, or in person at your field offices. Commissioner, for folks unable to travel to field offices, how has the SSA expanded services and improved delivery through the other service channels since you last testified on this matter before the committee? And how have wait times and access improved under President Trump compared to the prior administration?
Thank you, sir. I think, first of all, we've always believed we should meet clients where they want to be met. If they want to come to a field office, we're there to serve them. If they want to call us on the phone, if they don't want to wait on the phone for the wait time, they can take a call back. And then, as more and more people transact with us, more and more want to do it on the web. If you look at what's happened, I'd say the first thing that I'd say is, we had a system that said appointment needed when you came to a field office. Appointment needed. We sent people home. We sent them home, right? Those signs no longer exist. And that was, not only did we send those people home, we sent the employees home. So that was very convenient for everybody but somebody who wanted service. And then we had a web down 29 hours a week. By changing all that, what's actually happened is field office visits are down because people can access us on the phone. Like we said, fiscal year to date, we've answered and served 13 million more Americans. We've saved Americans 40 million hours of wait time, and our web traffic is up 37%. And we'll do 800 million interactions. 3% of them happen in field offices physically, but we have 23,000 people there, and we're going to serve the American public wherever they want to be met.
Thank you, Commissioner, for doing that. This committee has been working to improve access to gainful employment opportunities for Americans receiving disability benefits from the Social Security Administration. We recently advanced legislation sponsored by Congressman Austin Scott, a strong advocate for disabled veterans, authorizing your agency to once again test potential policy changes that might improve access and remove barriers to work for Social Security disability insurance beneficiaries. At a hearing last fall, we heard from such beneficiary who told us that if he hadn't had someone help him with the complex disability rules, he would have, quote, graduated to the couch. Sadly, his experience is the exception to the rule. Less than 1% of beneficiaries leave the program for work, despite 60% of beneficiaries indicating they would like to work. While legislative efforts are underway, what is the agency doing today to improve access or remove barriers to employment opportunities for Americans living with disabilities that receive SSA-funded benefits?
Yeah, I think the number one thing is our own advocacy with employment networks, because we have a deep belief that we can be advocates in a larger standpoint to have them understand these are fabulous, fabulous Americans who are capable. Obviously, continuing the journey to work on things like Ticket to Work also, which isn't on the initial disability, but after. And I think it needs to be a concerted effort locally and nationally. And I look forward to working with everybody here on making progress on this. This is real good work, and the work that has to do as a person in the private sector who believed in veteran employment and created the 100,000 jobs mission, and that meant for disabled vets too. I understand how this can be done, and we're going to get it done.
You know, Social Security is not immune to the disease of fraud that seems to have infected so many parts of government. As with other instances of the abuse and misuse of federal funds, fraud within Social Security robs not just taxpayers of hard-earned dollars, but beneficiaries of well-earned benefits. This committee advanced legislation through the House with unanimous support that would make it easier for victims of identity theft, including parents of children whose Social Security numbers have been compromised, to coordinate with the agency to resolve the matter. While that legislation sits over in the Senate, like so many other good pieces of legislation, What is the agency doing to combat fraud within the program and to better service beneficiaries needing your assistance when they are victims of identity theft?
Well, we are in the process right now of having dedicated resource just for a person for identity theft. I think that was job one. I think above that job is a conversation I had earlier, which is a full reconciliation constantly of what is really the Social Security number database. Because many times that fraud doesn't happen within Social Security. It happens in the other areas of government and elsewhere where that number gets used. So the ability for us to stay vigilant on the reconciliation, the ability for us to supply dedicated resource so people have a dedicated person to deal with, and then continue data cleansing.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Chairman Estes and Chairman LaHood, for holding this hearing.
Thank you for your testimony. We'll now proceed to the question and answer session. Commissioner Bisignano, the operational turnaround we have witnessed over the past year is a testament to what happens when private sector efficiency is brought into a federal bureaucracy. By focusing on core data and cutting through administrative red tape, the SSA is finally starting to deliver the level of service that Kansans and all Americans expect and deserve. To better understand how you achieve these milestones and how we can assure these gains are sustained securely, I have a few specific questions regarding some of your strategy, staffing, program integrity, and some recent data reports. Commissioner, you've managed to achieve significant improvements to customer service in the first year, including an 84% reduction in the national 800 number average wait times and a 33% drop in the initial disability backlog while operating with fewer total employees. Can you describe how ideas like shifting personnel out of the bureaucratic headquarter positions and onto the front lines made this possible, and what further structural changes are planned?
Thank you. Thank you very much. I think, first of all, I'm honored to be here. When we look at what we inherited something that existed for a long time. You know, one of the first observations I had is way too many layers of management. We didn't shut down anything, actually, that was facing clients, right? Regional offices was another level of bureaucracy. We didn't close down a field office. We actually reallocated our staff to where the work was. And I think that's a basic tactic. I think also we looked at what we needed when we needed it. First day I looked at the numbers on the 800 number. At 8 a.m., with 4,000 people on our staff, we had 400, and the phone was ringing. Obviously, people wanted to call us in the morning, and we weren't there. So I like to make this more complicated, but it's not. It's putting people where the work is. It's building technology in a modern day fashion. It's understanding what best-in-class performance looks like and motivating a workforce who's fully motivated to be here. We have great people in SSA who love to serve the American public.
Well, thank you. Has that reallocation of personnel affected service elsewhere in the agency?
I think when we look at the numbers, first of all, you know, as you know, you said it before, you know, you have fundamentally 750,000 Social Security numbers in your jurisdiction, and we pay out, you know, more than $300 million a month. So this is a very important engine to every one of the districts, and we're very, very proud of the full balanced scorecard. Visitors are down in field offices and up everywhere else, although that's fundamentally half our staffing, and we committed to never close a field office and always be there. I think, you know, every number in the place is double-digit improvement, and that says the head of disability, we never actually had a head of disability before, and it's a career person who was a judge, runs disability, and says it's bread and butter management to him, what they're learning, and they're growing. So we look at a balanced scorecard. We have a governance structure that looks at the numbers every week as a management team, and we're committed to having a better year in front of us than the year behind us.
Great. Can we talk a little bit more about disability? Appreciate what you just said, but as the pending disability claims and the initial claims and the reconsiderations continue to shrink, how are you ensuring that the bottlenecks do not materialize at other parts in the adjudication process?
Well, that's why when we look at every week for an hour and a half as a management team, and that would be, my direct reports and their direct reports, 200 indicators, and go through them. We want to make sure we're making hearings more efficient. We're making, by the way, efficient equals quality too. Better output, less errors, quicker responses to clients. And so I think the only way to do it is look at a balanced scorecard, make sure we have the right resource allocation and a technology roadmap to change it. We're not modernizing, we're transforming.
While the operational turnarounds are incredible, our constituents are still occasionally surprised by overpayment notices, often due to no fault of their own. After 10 years of intense oversight by the committee, the SSA's finally began using the authority to implement a payroll information exchange designed to improve payment accuracy and relieve the burdens and reliance on self-reported wage information, a leading cause of the improper payments. Can you provide us with an update on the status of the information exchange?
Yeah, it's called PI, Payment Information Exchange, and the first day it's here, I didn't know what they meant by PI, but we learned it real quick. We've expanded it. We've have more information coming into it, and we changed the interval that, in fact, the information comes. So it's a daily exchange. It's a way that we get information from outside bureaus and can compare, so we reduce our improper payments.
Thank you. Data integrity and security are sometimes part of the most critical role of the SSA, which maintains some of the most personal information of nearly every American. Recent media reports have alleged plans to add millions of living individuals to the Death Master File, which is an important database. I say it's one of the main national databases, if not the only national database that provides that information. But the Death Master File is managed by SSA and utilized by other federal agencies to ensure taxpayer dollars are not going to otherwise deceased and ineligible individuals. Mr. Commissioner, what's your response to these reports from the media about adding the living individuals, and is the SSA knowingly adding living individuals to the Death Master File?
We are not. From the day I've been here, we haven't added people to Death Master File who are living. I will tell you, our approach to this is a first-time ever approach. There was something called the Numinant file. Maybe y'all heard of the Numinant. It's not a common word in anyone's neighborhood, probably. No one walks into a Social Security office and says, am I on the Numinant file? I like to call it the Social Security number database. And that Social Security number database had never been reconciled. Now recognize we created two new positions, a head of risk management to report to me, which was well subordinated in the organization, and a head of cyber and resiliency, both two great career executives in the federal government. And in the creation of those roles, they absorbed all different types of way to do the business and the work. We reconcile today the Social Security number database. We use lots of data exchanges. We are the number one identifier for Americans of who they are. So having that as pristine as possible, and that, if it was never reconciled before, it's really been a heroic effort by the team, which I think ensures our data integrity and our data accuracy. And then building a cyber function of world class where we actually have outsiders and ourselves continually pounding at it to ensure it's right is about the risk management function of Social Security, which did not exist before.
Thank you for that update on how the process works. And you said you haven't added any living individuals. Are there any plans to do that in the future?
No, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Commissioner, for your answers. My constituents and national organizations representing seniors still tell me that when they call SSA, they usually get an offer to have someone call them back not a live person addressing their question or problem. When callers choose a callback, could you tell me the average amount of time it takes for them to hear back from SSA? Can you name a single metric that SSA publishes that captures or tells whether a beneficiary received the right outcome, not the fastest, not the faster, not the cheaper, but one that is correct and complete? And will you commit to publishing these data, this information, so that the public know what to expect?
I'd say, first of all, we do post-call surveys, both on callbacks and first time. Callback is an industry norm. It's not OWL specific item. We measure it the same way every industry does. We can say that we outperform more than 50% of the commercial entities, and that we have performance at the high end in the federal government. Having said that, we do post-call surveys on everything, and we have about an 89% satisfaction rate. I think if you think about, your jurisdiction, we have 750,000 Social Security number holders in your jurisdiction, sir, and we're paying out more than $181 million a month to those beneficiaries.
Will you publish this so that they will know exactly what to expect? Or tell them?
Tell me what you mean by that.
Will you tell them so that they know what they can expect to receive, and how long it's going to take?
Well, when they call up, we give them an option. The option is you have an X minute wait time, an 8-minute wait time, a 10-minute wait time, and then we say that, and if you would like a callback, we will call you within that time period. So we tell every caller what to expect relative to their callbacks.
All right, then let me go to this question. In a 2015 change in SSA policy resulted in sharply increased denials of SS benefits to children with sickle cell disease. Many parents of these children must reduce their work hours to help them get the comprehensive care they need. And of course, they've got severe pain. These parents depend on SSI to help pay the bill. In 2025, the National Academies of Science report confirmed that the criteria should be changed so that these individuals got the help. Could you tell us what you've done since then to change that policy?
Well, we've actually spent time and gone through the elements that need to be changed. We have recommendations and to change them, and I'm happy to come see you and go through it with you.
They've also indicated that they're having difficulty sitting down. Would you commit to meeting with the sickle cell advocates to dig into this?
Happy to do it, and happy to do it with you and your staff together.
And also, before we end, I'm kind of surprised that I've waited more than 3 months for a substantive answer to questions that I've asked relative to delayed tax refunds. Could you commit to getting us that information as quickly as maybe a week or two?
Happy to. It's not an IRS meeting, but I'm happy to, sir.
Thank you, Chairman. Thanks for being here, Mr. Commissioner. First, I want to thank you for your work that you've done to modernize the Social Security Administration, as well as, bring in technology to try to enhance the experience. Only in Congress could you, as a recovering management consultant, only in Congress could you come and get criticized for using industry standards and KPIs and measuring yourself against these indicators that can actually help you improve. So just know that it's appreciated, and the work that you're doing is definitely valuable. I'd like to enter for the record on the importance of technology modernization from Atticus, a company dedicated to helping beneficiaries navigate the SSA. I'd like to enter this record, this letter on the into the record.
Without objection, so ordered.
Thank you. First question relates to the disability insurance beneficiaries who are able to work and are starting the process of re-entering the workforce. As these Americans explore work opportunities, one of the major questions they have is how their current benefits may be impacted after returning to work. This information is not readily available and often takes months to get from SSA. How can the SSA help these beneficiaries? Can they provide them and their representation with this information? Can it be done through online access? Just a little bit of thoughts there.
Yeah, I think all of the above. And what you're highlighting is something that I think we should also work with the advocate community and create the right portal for them for their own individual situation, so they have a basic statement that tells them everything they're asking. They don't have to navigate. And I'm happy to get the team to go look at that, go to the advocate community, make sure we have alignment on what good looks like, and produce it.
Is this stuff enhanced online capabilities for advocates could be able to access that even better than some beneficiaries, as well as making the disability insurance beneficiaries? Can be done something that's in real time?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. I want to talk quickly about walk-in. I know there's been back and forth on walk-in appointments. As you know, I represent Northern Utah, and then there's an Ogden office. I've spoken with community members, heard multiple concerns about some of the inconsistencies with walk-in options at the Ogden SSA office. As I understand it, SSA officially ended walk-in appointments in early 2024, but Ogden office only stopped them for a few weeks before resuming. At one point, Ogden SSA was, I think, the only location in Utah to offer walk-in appointments. And now the Ogden office has, again, stopped the in-person appointments. Difficult for some members of the community and the beneficiaries to navigate everything online. They do like an option to be able to walk in. Can you provide an update on current status of walk-in appointments and work you're doing to ensure the top-tier customer service continue at SSA?
Well, this sign was in all the offices. Appointment needed. Appointments are required for most services at Social Security. I'm disappointed to hear about Ogden because we ripped them down and said nobody should ever be turned away. And so I need to go find out why that's happening there, because the standard is walk-ins are accepted as is. Yes, if people want an appointment, we'll make them an appointment. But I don't think we should ever refuse a walk-in.
Love it, and we'll help however we can.
I got to go figure out what's going on there.
Great. Let us use our office, our resources as we're close to it. We'll be all in to be able to help navigate this, and I think everybody from your end, to the local offices, our office, all want ultimately what's best and ease of use, and so we'll do what we can.
Yeah.
One last question. We're tracking the SSA recently joined the Trusted Exchange Framework and Common Agreement, TEFCA. This network for transmitting electronic health information. It's a standards body that sets rules and baseline requirements for health information network across the country. How will joining this network speed up the process of DI claims?
Well, you know, it's broader than just, that's an element of it, right? We have a system that is coming in effect that should just completely transform what this process is in terms of getting to decisioning a lot quicker. The whole objective is decisioning a lot quicker. Of course, if you went back over time, the size of a file has completely changed, but I think we could revert it all back. We will, use AI in the process too to help us get information to those who need it a lot quicker than possible. So we're in relentless pursuit on every indicator in the place to just continually to get a historic best norm. So I have great expectations for the exchange. I have great expectations for what we're doing in the base build we're doing, and I think we should never talk about times going up, but only down in the future for the rest of our life.
Thanks for bringing a business approach to this. Appreciate it. Kneel back.
Thank you to the chairman. Thank you, Commissioner, for your work at Social Security. And I want to go back maybe to the beginning of this hearing, some of the comments that have been made by the ranking member, who I have a great deal of respect for, because I know he cares so deeply about this program. And I agree with much of what he said, in that this is, I think, Social Security critically important to hundreds, or I don't know how many million people you know that number, but and it's probably the best.
Over 300 million have
so hundreds of millions, over 300 million, and it's probably the best anti-poverty program that we have going. This is designed to ensure that our elderly senior citizens do not live in poverty. And so I think we agree on much of that. I do want to push back just a little bit on the efficiency portion of it. The two don't need to be at odds with one another. Like, we really want, first of all, the promises that have been made to people who have been paying into the system to be upheld. We want people to be confident that they're going to have the benefits that they've been promised. So that's really important. But we also want them to be able to access that. Like when they call in, we want them to get the responses. And we want you as a commissioner to design a system where we're ensured that every single dollar is going to the individual whose promise has been made and not to someone else. So I just want to say I appreciate the work that you're doing to try to drive a more efficient system to deliver those important benefits. And when I hear things like the wait time has gone down from 42 minutes to 7 minutes, I think that's a pretty good result for people who are calling in. Wait times at field offices reduced by 30%. I don't know if these are all accurate, but this is what's in front of us. I can tell you the Social Security system is, of federal agencies where individuals call into our office, it's one of the top. And I'd love to see that reduced because we know that it's working better. So I want a more efficient system. And I think we should all want that. I also agree, and I'm going to want you to respond to this. As a trustee of the system, knowing the report you just put out, the trustees put out yesterday, that says that Social Security will be insolvent essentially within 6 years. And barring an act of Congress, everyone would get a reduction of 22% of their benefits. I don't think people really get that or understand that. And in fact, I just was discussing a poll yesterday that only 30% of the American people had any kind of inkling that that was the case. And I think it's incumbent on us to solve that. And I want members of the public to be calling in and demanding that their members of Congress be taking action. And yes, you could raise the payroll tax, but that won't solve it. That'd be one potential thing. And in fact, if you did it only through taxes, it would be the largest tax increase on younger wage-earning people that the largest increase we've ever seen. And I'm just not sure if it's fair.
Yield?
Well, I'm almost out of time. I'd love to have you respond, but I'm not sure it's fair to be demanding a lot more from our wage earners today to help individuals when there's no income cap for those earnings. So for instance, another change we could potentially make would be to means test it so that it truly is an anti-poverty program. And I'd love to have this discussion, would love to work with Mr. Larson and the chairman to help solve this. We've got to do it, and we can do it and ensure benefits are kept. But as a trustee, what responsibility do you feel that you have as a trustee to help people understand the situation that we're in, and what are your plans to help make the public more aware of the situation we're in, so they're calling their members of Congress and asking them to solve it?
Well,
you have a second to answer that. I'm sorry.
yes. No.
No, literally.
Well, you know, I thought the first response. Look at. I'm the commissioner of Social Security. And it's a 6-year term, and I understood that during that period of time, or at least I was hopeful that we would solve this problem, right? So I came into this understanding we needed to fix something. I think the first thing was to work on the president's mandate, protect and preserve. And to protect and preserve meant to do exactly what we're doing. Serve the American public better, so in fact, it would give you all the opportunity to think about what is right and hear from your constituents. And then lastly, I think higher quality costs less. So this idea, I don't really think of it as efficiency. I think about quality for the American public, and we should be able to do it with less fraud, less waste, and less abuse, and we see that in billions of dollars. So I thought that was job one, and empower you all to feel confident that we have something that can last for another 90 years in its way to operate, and then in fact say, what are we gonna do about it? And look at, I think as a trustee, we produce a trustee's report that tells everybody the facts.
Questions?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and Commissioner Bisignano, thanks for being here today. I want to start by thanking you for taking the time to come and see me in my office here in advance of this hearing. I really appreciate the direct communication that you and I have. You've been very responsive to me. Your team is responsive to my team. I just want to thank you for that. I also want to say thank you for what you committed to over a year ago, which is to take a metric-driven and a results-oriented approach to operations. You certainly, as you look over the course of the last year, you've been someone that has led the change inside of Social Security operations. You can either lead the change or change the leader. And we appreciate the work that you've done, and certainly hope that that continues into the future. I'd like to start with a question regarding something that you and I spoke about a year ago, and that was on March 1st, Martin O'Malley, President Biden's Social Security Commissioner, he predicted, and I quote, "Ultimately, you're going to see a collapse in the system and an interruption of benefits." He said, "I believe you will see that within the next 30 to 90 days. It's now been 466 days since he has made that statement. Commissioner Bisignano, has Social Security collapsed and have benefits been interrupted? I don't think they have. Is that correct?
No, they've outperformed in double-digit fashion, but I kind of understand why he said that, because he was telling people who drove to your field office, go home and appointments needed. He took field office employees and sent them home and disregarded the fact that the web was down 29 hours a week. So I think maybe he had a formula for that, but thank the good Lord we had the support of all of you and the president to change that outcome.
Commissioner Bisignano, when people like Martin O'Malley are out there making these apocalyptic statements, when they're spreading these conspiracy theories, hyperbolic predictions, how much more difficult is it for you to do your job thanks to Democrats like Martin O'Malley?
Well, I don't think it makes it any harder. It's something we don't really pay attention to. If you listen to boo birds in right field, you're not going to win games. Our career employees love what they do. Our leadership team has stayed intact, not one change on that team, and that's political and career. And I think they've risen to the occasion. They're proud of what they're doing, more proud than they ever have been. We used to describe Social Security as 70 plus million recipients of payments and keeping 15 or 20% of people out of poverty, I think that actually affected the self-esteem of the department, because most people they talk to every day are not a beneficiary. We have a disability process that is judges, and we're helping them through their process. And if you come to our field office, the number one thing asked for is a replacement card, which we've built the technology for them not to have to come. So I think we've elevated the esteem of the department. It is the largest digital financial service provider in the world, with 102 million digital accounts. And yes, with only 3% of our volume coming into field offices and half our staff in field offices, we will never close a field office.
Well, let's talk through some of those changes you made, because the number of beneficiaries continues to increase, which makes Social Security even that much more important as we go into the future, which of course that provides for, there's the increased demand on your employees, increased demand on services. It could provide for a strain on systems. But of course, the Hoosiers that I serve have the same expectations for quick service, quick decisions, and accurate solutions. In fact, your agency received roughly 722 million service requests in fiscal year 2025. That's 113 million more than the previous year, or a 19% increase. What operational reforms are most important to ensure that your agency can continue to meet the rising customer demands?
Well, we had something called I-claims, and I-claims sounded great if you did it, but it took a really long time to get ultimately finished, because what it was a claimant put their claim in online, but it never went through the system. Somebody else inputted it, fraught with errors. We've determined it's straight through processing. We've built the edits, and right now, we're processing Medicare claims to the hundreds of thousands. It's moving to retirement claims, and it happens in days, not weeks. So those are the types of things that allow us to serve more Americans. That's what we're talking about, serving more Americans quicker than ever before. Thank you. Members of the subcommittees. Under President Trump, the Social Security Administration is delivering faster service, better customer experiences, and higher quality outcomes for the American people. Every customer-facing service channel, field office, phones, and web, has improved by double digits. This is the best all-around performance ever at the Social Security Administration. We have pledged and are protecting and preserving Social Security. SSA serves over 300 million people, and this year we will have over 800 million interactions. As a result of our record-breaking performance, we're saving the American people over 40 million hours. The American people are winning. Before I arrived in May 2025, SSA had 4 different leaders in 5 months and was an agency in turmoil. The American people endured a failed service model. The Biden administration's so-called appointment-focused service turned people away who traveled to our field offices. On the National 800 number, only half of our customers got their calls answered. On the web, self-service features were down 29 hours a week, turning people away who traveled to field offices, only answering half the calls, and having office hours on the web is not meeting our customers where they want to be met. The Trump administration is transforming SSA into a model of excellence, a digital-first agency that meets and exceeds customer expectations for timely, accurate service in the channel of their choice. More than 99% of our field offices are open and serving the public, with average wait times reduced to 20 minutes, a 30% improvement. No field office is closed due to staffing. We now answer 90% of calls to our 800 number and have reduced average wait time to 5 minutes, a 75% improvement. Simultaneously, fiscal year to date, we're serving 56% more people, which represents 13 million additional customers served. Online services are now available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, enabling customers to complete transactions instantaneously. We are up 37% on our web transactions and up 21% on account creations. We are the largest digital financial services platform with over 103 million My Social Security accounts. In serving our most vulnerable, we have reduced wait times for initial disability claims decisions by 34 days, reduced hearing wait times by 91 days, reaching historic lows, and are quickly delivering disability benefits to those who qualify. Technology, process engineering, and disciplined execution have driven this transformation. Some of our recent improvements include online claims, straight-through processing, and advanced technology. These improvements have generated the equivalent of 2,500 work years in productivity savings across the agency. With better process engineering and management, we have reduced workload in field offices by the equivalent of 600 work years, allowing staff to spend more time serving customers directly. We have also prioritized workforce engagement. For the first time in agency history, I have established advisory councils that report directly to me. These efforts are producing results. Annualized fiscal year 2026 attrition will be 30% lower than fiscal year 2024, providing consistency for both staff and the public we serve. Finally, we have made risk management a core operating principle at SSA. We have closed IG audit recommendations at a record pace, helping protect $16 billion in taxpayer funds. We are meeting congressional program integrity requirements, strengthening controls, and relentlessly pursuing the elimination of fraud, waste, and abuse. We have also restored stability. During the past year, there has been no turnover among my direct reports, whether career or political. That leadership continuity, combined with the dedication of SSA's workforce, enabled the agency to serve the American people through the 43-day government shutdown during the peak of retirement season. I am honored to lead this agency and serve the American people. We are building a modern, sustainable, and durable organization. The President's fiscal year 2027 budget request supports this transformation. Mr. Chairman, over the past year, we have improved service, strengthened controls, deployed technology, and delivered measurable results at historic scale. I look forward to discussing these accomplishments and answering your questions.
Let's break down a long Social Security hearing. Members of the House Ways and Means Committee spent the morning questioning the new Social Security Commissioner, Frank Bisignano. He came with a turnaround story. They came with what their constituents are actually living through: long disability waits, shrinking offices, and checks that don't cover the basics. Here is the frame for the whole hearing. On one side, an agency leader with a stack of improved metrics. On the other, members describing constituents who wait most of a year for a disability decision, and a workforce that has just been cut to its smallest size in the program's history. Watch this pattern. The commissioner's message was that service is faster and the agency is modernizing. The members kept returning to the same, harder facts. The offices are thinner, the waits are creeping back up, and a benefit cut is now on the calendar. One side brought the highlight reel. The other brought the waiting room. Start with the sharpest exchange from Ranking Member John Larson. He tried to reframe the entire debate about efficiency around one question: who is Social Security actually for? His point rests on a real number. Roughly 5 million Americans receive Social Security payments that fall below the federal poverty line. Larson's argument is that chasing efficiency does little for someone whose check already does not cover rent and food. He also pointed at how the program is funded. Earnings above roughly $176,000 a year are not taxed for Social Security. Larson's case is that lifting that cap, so higher earners keep paying, would do more for solvency than trimming staff. You can disagree with the fix. The cap itself is real. The second confrontation, from Congressman Stephen Horsford, put a face on the delays. He described a constituent facing eviction while waiting on a disability decision. Horsford pushed for simple yes or no answers, and the length of the wait was the heart of it. Here are the numbers behind his question. As of early 2026, the average wait for a disability hearing decision is about 270 days, roughly 9 months, and in some states, like Massachusetts, it runs past 11 months. The backlog, which had been falling, climbed back from about 270,000 cases to about 330,000 in a single year. So set the claim next to the trend. The agency points out that waits fell over the prior 2 years, and that is true. But in the most recent year, the backlog grew again, which is the opposite of progress for the person still sitting in the queue. To understand why, follow the staffing. This is the fact that sits underneath almost every complaint in the hearing. In roughly 6 months, the agency's workforce dropped from about 57,000 employees to about 50,000. That is a cut of around 7,000 people, and it is the largest staffing reduction in the 90-year history of Social Security. Fewer people are answering phones, staffing offices, and clearing claims. And the plan is for less in-person help, not more. An internal operating plan targets cutting field office visits by half, from about 31 million a year toward 15 million. Several rural offices have already closed. Meanwhile, the agency is carrying millions of pending cases across its processing centers and field offices. So this is the core of it. You can post better average metrics for a while, but you cannot cut the workforce to a 90-year low and expect the waiting room to shrink. Sooner or later, thinner staffing shows up as longer lines. Congressman Don Beyer moved from the numbers to the experience, challenging what field staff and callers actually run into. Beyer raised short phone training for new staff, access problems with the online login systems that lock people out of their own accounts, and thin guidance for handling callers who reach the line in a moment of crisis. His point was that a fast average time does not capture a call that goes wrong. It was a reminder that service quality is more than speed. Subcommittee Chairman Ron Estes turned to data integrity, and one allegation that has followed the agency all year. Estes asked it plainly, and it is a fair fact to check. The context in 2025, the agency drew heavy criticism after thousands of living people were listed in its records as deceased, which can cut a person off from their bank account and their benefits. Under questioning, the commissioner denied that the agency is knowingly adding living people to that list. The fact to watch is whether the corrections keep pace with the errors. Not everyone was on offense. Chairman Jason Smith laid out the administration's case, and the numbers deserve a fair hearing too. The commissioner's headline claims were specific. 90% of calls answered, an average wait on the main line of about 5 minutes. Millions more Americans served, tens of millions of staff hours saved through new tools, and billions of dollars protected from fraud. Several of these are real measured improvements, and they belong in the picture. So both things are true at the same time. On some phone and web metrics, the agency really did improve, and it did so while cutting its workforce to the lowest level in 90 years, with backlogs climbing again. A fair scorecard holds both, instead of choosing the half that fits the argument. Congressman White Smucker and Rudy Yakum widen the lens to the biggest number of all, how long the money lasts. This is not a talking point. The 2026 trustees report projects that the main Social Security Trust Fund will run short around the end of 2032, about 6 years out. If Congress does nothing, benefits would be cut across the board by roughly 22 to 24%, about $500 a month for a typical retiree. Congressman Yakum pushed back on darker predictions, noting that benefits have not been interrupted, and that is accurate. But the fact check point is narrow. No one's check stopped this year. The trust fund shortfall around 2032 is the trustees' own math, not a partisan forecast, and it lands hardest on the people who have the least cushion. So let's total it up, the way a fact check should. The workforce is at a 90-year low. Disability waits are back around 9 months with the backlog rising. Roughly 5 million checks already fall below the poverty line. And a benefit cut is scheduled for about 2032 unless Congress acts. Real service gains sit on top of all of that, not instead of it. None of this tells you how to vote. You can credit the phone and web improvements and still worry about the waiting room. The narrow point is who carries the risk. When the workforce is cut and the trust fund runs short, the people who feel it first are the ones who depend on the check the most. So where does it leave us? With an agency posting better numbers on some fronts and members warning that the foundation underneath, the staff and the trust fund, is thinner than the metrics suggest. When the dashboard is green but the workforce is at a 90-year low, watch the waiting room, not the dashboard. Watch 3 things from here. Whether the disability backlog keeps climbing, whether the field offices people rely on stay open, and whether Congress acts on solvency before that 2032 clock runs out. Those answers will come on the record. That is our breakdown. Stay with us.